Over the weekend, former Senator Bob Dole passed away at the age of 98. Dole will be remembered for so many things, including his passion for helping disabled people. I spoke with Leo Sarkissian, Executive Director of the ARC of Massachusetts, about Senator Dole's role in the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Bob Dole was the majority and minority leader, the chief Republican leader through many years. He held the record on that till recently. And in that role, he was regarded as an unbelievable compromiser, a person who reached across the aisle. It's ironic because nowadays that's, bipartisanship is unheard of. So his role, being able to say, yeah, I want to see this done, and it was vital. It's bringing Republicans, making it a bipartisan issue. And as I recall, President Bush, was influenced by that as well, as he signed it. Now, historically, we think of people like Senator Tom Harkin, but you really can't think of the ADA without Bob Dole. We call him a giant, both the independent living movement and the ARC movement. And some examples of what it meant.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I think people now, especially obviously young people, walk into buildings and see ramps and handicapped accessible wide doorways and handicapped stalls and bathrooms and don't remember a time when every building in America was inaccessible to someone with physical disabilities. How did the ADA improve daily life for so many people, including people here in Massachusetts?
You can't overemphasize the impact of the ADA. And again, that's that, tip of the hat to Bob Dole. For example, we didn't have any strict rules around just even using buses or subways. Think about that, getting from one place to another. Or let's say someone wanted a job and their office building didn't have an elevator, or it had an elevator, but it couldn't accommodate a wheelchair. So when you think about the Americans with Disabilities Act, think of our schools. I had a friend whose daughter would have to be seen by a doctor in a storage room because the medical office wasn't accessible.
Wow. Even medical offices had not retrofitted their physical space to accommodate people who had disabilities.
Exactly. And think of restaurants, diners, grocery stores. I guess, if you go through the list of things in our everyday life, how can you have integration and inclusion without access?
Well, it's interesting because I pulled up the act to read the language exactly, and it says physical or mental disabilities in no way diminish a person's right to fully participate in all aspects of society. It is a piece of civil rights legislation, and as you pointed out, impacted employment as well.
Yes, it cuts across all the sectors of society. I want to add one more thing about Bob Dole. Before he became a leader, and as you mentioned his disability himself, he also was chair of the Finance Committee in the Senate, which oversees the Center for Medicare and Medicaid, and obviously has a role in funding for that. So by the time it came time for the bill for the Americans with Disabilities Act, he really understood programs and services and what needed to be done. He understood the limitations that people faced. And he probably experienced them himself, right, in recuperation. I mean, there's more than two, but two other things related to disability that Bob Dole can be remembered for is establishing a foundation for employment for people with disabilities. It's called the Dole Foundation. And the second piece was he went to bat for the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which the country has not ratified. The USA has not ratified that convention yet, for whatever reason. But early on, he advised the Clinton administration to include disabilities in their Convention on Human Rights reports to the UN. So he was even thinking ahead, years ahead on disability issues.
Leo Sarkissian, Executive Director of the ARC of Massachusetts, thanks so much for speaking with us today. And thanks for all the good work you do.
Thank you, Paula. Take care.